Thank you, David. I appreciate that. I didn't have the sound turned on. I had it turned on for Anneke, but I didn't have it turned on for you. Do we have sound yet? Still no sound? Just silent heads. Oops, what's happening? Why just silent heads? We should have sound. Still no sound?
And when I speak?
They're saying that there's still no sound. Oh, sound is good now. You have sound now?
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay.
And can they hear me too? Hello, everybody.
Can you all hear Anneke? William Price, refresh your page, William Price. Anneke, let me hear you give a test also, just to make sure the sound is working.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Okay. Yes, Anneke is working. Good. Okay, so just good. Thank you, David, for letting me know that. As you know, that we've had a little bit of issues with sound, and let me just say that we have an interesting setup with Anneke this week. Her computer doesn't seem to be fast enough to give us audio and video at the same time. So we have Anneke as a call-in, and so we have her voice coming in on the call-in feature, and we have her video on the live feed. So don't expect her voice to match her mouth. But we're happy to have Anneke with us today, and thank you for being our guest, Anneke. We are so happy to have you here to really share with us your deep love for this work of Rupert Spira and Chapter 8, The Essence of Meditation. And we were talking a little bit before the show, and also I know from some email correspondence that I have had with Anneke that she is deeply in love, in fact, very passionate about this particular idea, this topic of this week's chapter 8, the essence of meditation. And I just want to say to everyone, welcome to our last show of the year, our last study where we come together in video and audio form of the year. This is November 29th. And this, many of you know that this also airs on Unity Online Radio. And I will be sending a link to all of the previous shows that we've had, so that if you wanted to, if you're in your car and you want to click on Unity Radio and you wanted to download the audio only version of our book study, I'll be putting that up on the website, and I'll be sending it out in a link, in an email link, and I'll also be posting it on Facebook. And I will also, in the month of December, I'll be posting all of the video versions of this class, so that you can go back and you can rewatch them if you want to, and easily just by clicking on the link, the YouTube link that I'll be posting in the website. So I just want to make all of that, I want to make that available to everyone, because some of the shows, you know, when I go back and listen to them, I hear things that I didn't hear the first time. And I really like being able to do that. I want to offer that to each of you. So I just want to give a quick introduction about Anneke for some of you, that just so you know a little bit about Anneke. She's been following a lot of non-dual books. She saw multiple videos and visited teachers like Adyashanti and Jeff Foster, Unmani, Dutch teachers. And then she loved watching Muji, amongst many others, until she met, as I did, like Rupert Spira. And Rupert is the one that made it possible and available for Anneke to recognize for herself what she really is. She says, what I really am. I really love Rupert for that. I can check, I can see, I can experience directly that I am the undying, ever present unlimited, aware being. And I love that description. I love that introduction. I just want to invite everyone to please give a warm welcome to Anneke Boertjes. Thank you, Anneke, for being here. And welcome everyone that is here live on video and making comments in the chat section. Thank you for being here with us. And before we get into this week's chapter 8, the essence of meditation, I just want to mention that I have confirmed with Jenny Beal that she will be our guest on January the 3rd for the next chapter. It is the outward-facing path, collapsing the distinction between consciousness and objects. And I look forward to Jenny coming back on the show. She won't be with us today. She's doing something in the UK where she's from. And she'll watch the replay, she said. But she did say that she would be our guest on January 3rd. So thank you, Jenny. And so we'll get into this chapter 8, Anneke. This chapter 8 is just, I mean, it goes along with it the description that Rupert's book gives it, that this is kind of like the one of the 4 chapters, 6, 7, 8, and 9, that sort of they encapsulate the essence of the nature of consciousness, the book. But in my mind, meditation is for me is the key to the ongoing upward sort of an expansion experience that I find myself investing in or vesting itself in. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your experience and your own explanation of the essence of meditation. So, Anneke Boertjes, take it away. The mic is all yours.
Thank you. The whole book is about meditation. The book is one meditation because the book continuously points to the fact that awareness arises as this mind. It has the possibility to assume the form of a mind and then remember itself again. So it can contract, and then by recognizing that I am, and I know that I am, awareness can move sort of backwards. I always saw it as an octopus has its tentacles out in the world, like to objects and sensations and the story and everything. And the meditation is like as if the octopus says, okay, now it's time to pull all the tentacles back, and no longer paying attention to the objective world, but to I am, or even a little bit more back to what I am, which is awareness, knowing itself, knowingly. So it knows itself to be itself. That's the whole point. And the whole book, no matter what kind of a chapter it is, it continuously points back to that. It continuously points back to be knowingly what I am and what your I is also amming. I mean, it's weird to say, but what you are, I am, and life is. So there's one amness, one I, and that's what he continuously tells. And the beautiful thing is that I always thought meditation was sitting on a cushion, being quiet. But what I also love about this is that there are people that are meditating and then it is an experience. So you have the experience of silence, you have the experience of peace, and then going back into the world, it's a mess again, or it's as if it's lost. But the core message of meditation is that that you know who you really are and consciously know that. So when somebody meditates and that's not pointed at, then meditation remains an experience, without knowing that points, and that's a doorway to seeing who you really are. And that's so beautiful about the book, because Rupert says clearly it is meditation is to be knowingly the presence of awareness. And the presence of awareness is always present, unlimited, ever present, and it's here. And here it doesn't have a location, but it's always here. And what is so beautiful is that I don't necessarily have to sit on a cushion to remember and recognize, am I aware right now? Yes. Do I know I am aware? Yes. Okay. So I'm quite feisty and fiery personality, character. And so for me, it's also through creating art and doing all sorts of exercises, explorations and anything. Every time to check, am I still here? Yeah, I'm still here, So then it is not a state, it's not a feeling. It's just the consciously knowing that I am here, right here, always. And then, of course, we start to recognize that what I really am is present in the midst of everything, because it is everything. But that's the next step. But, so yes, of course, I sit quietly. But can I mention one example how I meditate that doesn't look quietly, but it's very powerful? Do you feel like that?
Oh, yes. I actually, it's so funny that you mentioned that how you meditate, because when you stopped speaking, I was going to ask you, so Anneke, how is it that you meditate? So please tell us.
Well, last time, for instance, I told that when I go for a walk, when I first recognize that I am awareness, and it's always here, I was going to check. So when I walk forward, still here. When I walk backward, I'm still here. When I turned around, I'm still here. Where I'm everywhere and I'm always here. So that doesn't change. But for instance, lately, I started saying, it started as thank you prayers. That's how I call it, because it was saying out loud what I am. And it has proven to be so powerful, because I'm just sitting here and I'm saying, I am free. I'm ever present. My being is your being. And it goes on, and I do that with my eyes closed, because I'm not saying what Rupert says. I'm not saying what teachers say. I'm checking in what I am, and I mention it out loud. So if somebody would look from the outside in, they would see me chat for 3/4 of an hour. I'm this, I'm that, I'm free. I'm limitless. That's in my. I had to find my own way, because otherwise I would be trying to replicate somebody else or replicate a teacher. And now it's an Anneke meditation, but it points and to the very same, and it is the very same. It's knowingly being the presence of awareness. Yeah.
Okay, so we lost sound for a few minutes. It got kicked. We got kicked off, Anneke, just for the last 10 or 15 seconds, and
Okay.
and they're telling us on the board that there's no sound. I don't know what happened. It's like my screen went blank and then it came back again. So we're back.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that explanation of meditation. Where it left off was in the last little bit you were talking about.
Okay, well, I was saying that you could say awareness is taking the form of prayer, which is awareness arises as speaking out loud about itself. So it's telling itself what it is. So Anneke, awareness is in Anneke's mind is an activity. So through Anneke, awareness speaks the words, I am free, I am space, I hold everything of life, I am in everything of life, all arises out of me, I am the origin. I'm just checking inside and feeling, just feeling what I am and acknowledging it and confirming it. And that helps me a lot. It's like reading the book of Rupert, but now in my own words and in my own way, so I don't replicate a teacher, but find my own ways to remember, to remind, and to acknowledge. Yeah. And it has proven to be so powerful. It's unreal. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds very powerful, Anneke, and it's almost like you know when we're on the spiritual path, but when we first come here, we have an old default where we thought we were this limited, finite self called the person and the person identity. And what you're describing sounds like a mind training. It sounds a bit like you're changing the default from the old identity to the knowingness of the new of the true self.
Yeah, it's a confirmation of what I really am.
Yeah.
And because I'm checking within, because it has to be my experience. You know, it's not fake it till you make it. No, I'm trying to give words to what I know the truth of. And I'm not saying things that I don't know the truth of. But you can, of course, speak out loud and say that you wish to see that what I am is in everyone, you know. But I'm not asking it for myself. I'm just expressing the process of the revelation and yeah, the clarity and yeah, it's just mentioning as if I had to write a book about awareness, which is impossible because everything I say is ultimately not even true. But I'm trying. It's just as if I'm writing a book or a poem or making a painting, which I am recently also doing. Trying to paint, I am trying to paint being. It's impossible, but it, you know, and these prayers are something like that. It's an out loud meditation of trying to describe what that I am is. And for instance, through that, I discovered that what we really are is even before I, because even I, the first I that is spoken, is already in time. I am, and am is the movement into time. So, but that happens through those so-called, I call them prayers, and I'm praying, not praying to somebody because it's all impersonal, an impersonal dance of life, but yeah, it's still beautiful. So that's one of the ways. Yeah.
That is a beautiful explanation of. You described it in such a clear way that it made it very easy to say, "Oh, okay, I got that. I get it." And Catherine has posted on the board, and Dee has posted on the board. Anneke, when you mentioned that when you first recognized that you are awareness, how did that first time recognition come about? Was it a recognizable experience?
Mm. Well, I was on a webinar with Rupert, and you can raise your hand, and if there's time, you can speak. And he asked me, "Are you aware?" Yes. Are you ever not aware? No, you can't be, because you would have to be aware to know that you're not aware. So awareness is always present. And then he says, "So where did you go? Where did you go when I asked, are you aware?" Well, my attention did not go to objects. It did not go out, so to say. It was just as if I was pulled back, like I had to check in. Like, am I aware? Yeah. How do you know you're aware? I know that I'm aware. He says, well, that's what you are. I don't know why that was enough, but and that's what we are. We are that which is aware and knows. You know, you exist. You know you exist. You know that you are. And knowing and being, to know that you are, is one and the same. And it was just as if, from the perspective of being a me in a body, it was just as if it turned around. And I was, since then, looking from here. I don't know how to say it, but it was so clear. It was so clear. Yeah.
It's a little bit
because,
difficult.
And then
it's almost a little bit difficult to describe. Going from an object experience or the personal self to the knowing of the experience, right?
Yeah, because the nati to know. Do you see your thoughts? Yes, I do. I mean, seeing is the same as knowing. I mean, teachers also use the word seeing, so that became for me a habit to say that. But I'm seeing thoughts. I'm aware of thoughts. I know the body. I know feelings. I see them. I feel them. I'm aware of them. Well, that which is aware, that's what I am. And what also helped me is when Mukti, the wife of Adyashanti, asked me, so it's a bit like a ripening, I guess, but she once said, well, when there's thoughts that arise, just walk them back, like the breadcrumbs of Hansel and Gretel. I don't know that fairy tale. The breadcrumbs are put out, strewed out just to find your way home. When you take your thoughts back to where they arose from, well, then where did they originate? Where did they rise out of? Well, those were all little practices. Or what I also did was, somebody says, well, you continuously thoughts arise, and then they said, well, just say to yourself, like, okay, I'm going to wait until the next thought comes. And I did that. Sit. Nothing came. That's what you are. Like all sorts of things I did. I'm very much of exploring experientially, experimenting. I love that. Because then it is a lived and felt experience and not a mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is also the question, Catherine, I think you did answer Catherine's question. She said, so Anneke, prayers based on experience, not intellectual understanding.
Yeah, that was very important for me because I'm also an artist. So when I paint, there is no me to be found because I'm very intensely into that. It's like making love or walking in nature, or you're very focused. Your sports or whatsoever, you're not there. And so I love in painting also. I love to experiment. I need to find out, because when I sit on a cushion, which I also do, just sit quietly, but that was most of all that became possible after I recognized what I am. Before that, my mind would go crazy, you know, and I would wobble, and it just didn't work. And I was looking for an experience, and this, what I am, is not an experience, although awareness can experience itself. It's weird, but you know, and it can be experienced as love or beauty or silence, or but I've also discovered that that also comes from awareness. Awareness is first. Yeah. But it are its qualities. But the mind is tempted to think, oh, this was so much love, because after I recognized what I was with Rupert, there were months, oh, you should have seen me. I was like crazy. I was so happy. So that was really like bliss. And I thought, I'm here too. Oh, yes, I'm here too. And when the mind would come up, I would say, take it up with the boss. I'm not at home. I'm here, you know. And but that disappeared. Oh, that was so shocking. But I thought it was a state, and it is not.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a most liberating experience of that you can have, in my mind, the experience of awareness is the most liberating event I think that
Yes.
one can have in time and space. And
Yes, but yeah.
but it's so subtle that until someone invites you, like Rupert, and Ramana had the question, and the Maharaj developed. He had a teaching on it in the neti neti, as you just described, and you know, I'm not this, I'm not that. But then that, for me, I didn't really get the part that I was having a little bit of trouble with was the neti neti was keeping me as the observer, and I was not collapsing back into the experience of everything that was being experienced as awareness as well. And for me, that was the tricky part. How was that for you? We heard a little bit about it from Jenny last week, but how was it for you to go from the neti neti as the observer into the experience of the awareness and meditation all the time?
um, the first reaction is I really wouldn't know, because it was an over and over remembering. But I don't know, it just shifted. I couldn't believe in me, although I have quite an intense story, so there are definitely still residues and remains of that story in my system and my body. So then it seems to be still like tight and a me and whatsoever. So it was over and over a remembering. Yeah, but I'm looking from here. I know I am here. There was an over and over checking.
Yes.
Am I here right now when there is something not so pleasant going on? Yes, I'm still here. But I really had to become aware that it's not a state or a feeling. It is not. It is the knowing of itself in the midst of experience. And that I did pray once for knowing that I, awareness, am also in all of experience, because there is only the one. And that process is still going on. But again, Rupert also helped me with that, with body meditations. So we would sit with a webinar. He did that for a while with a body meditation. And then you sit and the attention goes to parts of the body, and then leaning your hand on the table, and then seeing that it's just a sensation, that hand on the table. And finally, the distinction between the hand and the table is totally gone. And even the body is a field, you know. So it was a lot of experientially going back and oh yeah, oh yes, yeah, aha, continuously confirmation that I am always here and I'm unlimited, and that unlimitedness that is going on. That thoughts are transparent. I mean, they're really actually nothing. They're learned. Change of names and words and so on, but they can be very fierce, so very tempting,
Yes.
to believe again.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't know why the shift was permanent. I really don't know. It was so clear to me, but maybe the period ahead of time made it ripe or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually continuously aware that I'm aware. And still I do my own fun exercises, and there's still periods that my body is very much hurting and that there is something horrible going on. I hate noise and whatsoever, and then I'm tempted to think, like that. But then it's one question, but I continuously have to remind myself that it's not a state and it's not a feeling. It is not. Yeah, it arises as that, so it is also a state and a feeling. That's the horrible thing about this subject. It's always paradoxical. But the knowing of myself is neutral, impersonal, knowingly being. That's it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. So this chapter, The Essence of Meditation, if you had a couple of your favorite statements, do you have a couple of favorite statements from this chapter from Rupert that you would that call to your attention?
Well, the very first page 79, Rupert speaks of the fact that this recognition cannot be undertaken by the mind, because the mind arises from awareness and it cannot recognize itself as awareness. It cannot. It is the opposite. It's awareness knowing itself and relaxing the mind. So you could say that awareness focuses as an Anneke mind, a Bill mind, a D. Lynn mind, all these minds, billions of minds.
Yeah.
And that's a kind of feels like a bit of a contraction. First it's I, and I am, and I'm Anneke, and then I'm a bad Anneke, and it gets tighter and tighter. That appearance cannot recognize itself. It has to withdraw the attention. Awareness recognizes itself.
Yes.
It's the opposite. It's not going to the objective world. It's actually withdrawing the attention. It's stepping back into itself.
Yes.
That's what he says on page 79.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's a second one on page, I have to have a look, 81. And that was very interesting for me, because he speaks of that later on in the book as well, that awareness arises as I am. Mm-hmm. And that I am is the doorway from awareness into an objective world, and the way back also.
Yes. Yes.
So if the mind wants to have a pointer, and it wants to know what it really is, what we really are, I am, just to sit with I am. Oh, I exist, I am.
Yeah.
And I know that I am. That's also the relaxation of the focus on the objective world. So I have a picture drawn. I have here all kinds of notes to remind me also, and I have a picture of only a doorpost, and the doorpost is called I am.
Oh, good.
And then a huge hourglass, as it were, like awareness is wide and open. It goes through the doorway into the objective world, and also back again.
Oh,
Yeah.
good one. You drew a drawing that gave that
Yeah.
idea an image, like a symbol.
Yeah. It's like an hourglass
I love it.
with in the middle I am a doorway, and consciousness goes through the doorway into the objective world, and when you want to it wants to recognize itself again, it goes back through the I am. That's what I mean with I make my own ways to make it visible or experientially possible.
Yes, yes. Good one. I love that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and once the mind is divested from its attention, because attention is also, that's what Rupert explained also, which I loved, is that awareness arises as attention. So attention is made of awareness, but as soon as attention goes to an object or goes so-called away from itself,
Mm-hmm.
what it touches, it becomes. So when I would ask of you, think of your kitchen, well, there's the image of the kitchen, right? Or isn't it?
Yeah.
Because your attention went there. So if you want to know who you are, attention needs to go away from the objective world again and ask and you check, I am.
Yes.
What am I? You know? So that's
Yes.
the main, but that can go deeper and deeper. So
Yes.
you could say first there is the recognition, oh, I am aware, and I know that I'm aware. And then is the exploration of the nature of that. Like, am I always here? Yes, I'm always here. And am I limited? No, but that's an exploration that goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and then it seems to become wider and wider. But awareness is already unlimited, wider than wide. But the seeing of it, the discovery of it, the opening seems to become wider and deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes a big. It just seems to expand. It's like the expanding experience of consciousness. It has no limits, and it's ever growing, and it works just like creation because it is creation. It's creation. In my mind, it's creation being experienced.
Yeah, it's possible to experience what arises out of awareness. Yes,
Yes.
that's beautiful.
Yes.
And it is limitless and ever present and boundless.
Yeah.
So its possibilities and potential are also boundless and limitless. So anything can happen.
Yes.
I love that of a book of Byron Katie. She has one page in one of her books, and she says you can see that all the numbers of the world make a very holy enneagram, and you can see that all the colors have ranges and numbers, and she mentions a lot of very expanded, beautiful experiences, but she says it means nothing. It's just the potential and the possibility of awareness itself. It means nothing.
Yes.
But it is possible.
Yes.
And that's actually what I call God.
Yes.
That it is, that life is, that there is life at all. That out of no thing, which is dark and empty but not dead, but out of no thing, no objectiveness, arises all of this we can experience. It's unreal.
Yeah.
It's real, but it's, I don't know if that's visible.
Yes.
Is this visible?
Oh, yeah. Hold it up. I am doorway. Oh, yes. That's good. Keep holding it there.
So the open field, it goes through the doorway, and then it becomes personal, so to say, or separate or whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then back then into open awareness. This is a simple sketch I made for today just because I wanted to remember that page.
Oh, nice. Everyone just asked if you would share that. Thank you for showing it looks like it's going left and right. It looks like the portal is going left and right. Is that right?
But I have open awareness goes through this little doorway.
Yes.
Door, like a door.
Yes. Very good.
That's just a little one, but I for myself, I have pages full of stuff that I'm exploring and drawing and writing. Yeah.
Yes, yes, nice.
So,
yeah, I do the same. I was doing a drawing this morning on awareness and the split mind, and how this split mind uh, there's a decision that needs to be made for awareness to no longer be the the self, the conditioned personal self concept. A decision has to be made to intention, and then to move from the conditioned self experience to the I am. And when you decide I am, as soon as you speak that and contemplate it, all of a sudden you have a remembering experience, as this chapter describes. It does require a decision. I am, it's the neti. I'm not this, I'm not that, but then it is I am. Okay, I am what? I am what is aware of all of my experience. And then you have the experience, and you can't deny it. It's an undeniable, definitive experience of the knowing of the self.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. One of the things I loved on this first page that you mentioned, page 79, is where Rupert mentions that mind is awareness in motion, and that makes total sense, because the mind is active. And then in my mind, this is the important part: awareness is mind at rest.
Yeah, I had that one too. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for me, the way I start my morning, and whenever I have something to consider, a question or a decision that needs to be made, I go allow myself to go into the resting state. I go into the place of resting the mind by decision. So I make a decision. Okay, I'm going to go into the space of presence, of awareness, because I want to make sure that I'm making the decisions are all being made from being informed, and not the busyness of the mind that that of who I thought I was. So the practice for me is to get still, and that quiet space gives me a new trusting that awareness has got this. And then if I have decisions to make, I get quiet and I let the seeming decisions or the seeming choices rise up in awareness, and now I'm connecting with the essence of the truth of what I am, and the essential self then informs the mind, and the mind just knows what to do.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I don't know how that is for you, but what I sketched is that there has been a lot going on in my life, that especially around near death as a child and near drowning and lost two husbands. So it was always death, death, death as an item, and nearly died again 3 years ago. So there's quite some contraction, but now the contraction has become a friend. Not that I always like it because it hurts, but contraction for me is a sign that I am paying attention to the objective world in my mind. I'm following mind. And when there is a lot of contraction and I'm, for instance, speaking with somebody and all of a sudden I think, oh, here's that contraction. Then I lean back inwards, just checking, okay, I'm aware, I'm here, that goes like instantly. And then I see my body relax, sit back, and that influences the contact with the person. So it's an over and over checking in, so to say. Yes. Although it is also ongoing on as if I'm always here. I know that I'm always here, but in some old habitual conditionings, it's necessary to do that in a more conscious way, like you just described, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does require it does require a sort of a training of the experience to self-remember. I like to think of awareness as being the experience of being still and pausing for short moments of awareness until it becomes an automatic experience and you're full on in the experience of awareness as we're speaking right here. You can notice that awareness is very present, and I feel that you train yourself to be what you are instead, and untrain yourself or undo what you thought you were by practicing and noticing your true essential nature. And it will tend to overshadow or overlay everything with the experience of awareness. And I feel it's something that I need to practice.
Yeah, but I also had periods that I was really angry, like, you know what, I'm not doing anything anymore. It should be easy. And it is actually easy. But then I thought, okay, what would happen if I just think back and let awareness show me what to do? I'm not doing anything anymore. That was of the mind, of course, but still, it was an invitation to let life and just be present right now. But the residues and the habitual pull of mind and trying to protect myself and survive and that sort of stuff, that needs some extra attention or extra awareness. I don't know how to say that, because that can be fierce, and then the process of going outwards into the world is great, because sometimes when there was fear, I would just put my hand on my heart and I would not move. And then I would stay aware of being aware. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that in any experience, if I am focusing on the feelings, for instance, then I get sucked into the feelings. Yeah. But when I first remember I'm aware of being aware, and as that are in the midst of the experience, that experience becomes me, or it reveals that it already is made of awareness alone. So don't move towards the objects to try to find freedom, to work through the field. I've done it all. I've turned every stone possible because that was my path. I've worked my ass off, if I'm able to say that on this medium, but okay. And But then I discovered that I can also stay as awareness and let it come to me. And the difference is that where I am with my attention, that is what it becomes. So when my attention goes to a feeling and going into it, and I have a lot of fantasy, so fantasy worlds and horrors for the future and the back and what is that, it gets more and more and more contracted, and I feel that in my body. But when I start as being aware of being aware and that feeling is there, it can come to me, it can flow through me, it can be, it can live its life, and it aligns with what it is and what I am already. So where my attention is, when it is with awareness, all of life reveals itself to be made of awareness. Well, that's my process for now. And I needed that because otherwise I would still separate myself out. I'm awareness and the rest is just life. You know? But that started to hurt after a while. I just had to know that there is only the one. Only.
Yes.
And that's not in it's not all clear yet, but that's okay. Awareness will show the way because otherwise I'm still trying to do it with my mind.
Yes. Yes. I love that explanation. Was absolutely so clear, and I could feel the experience. I could feel it for myself as you were describing it as something that we all have that we can all have that same experience as you described. You keep bringing yourself back to awareness, being aware of it, of itself, and and then it allow that to just resolve everything from that
Yeah,
experience. It resolved everything.
yeah,
It's so funny
yeah.
because my favorite thing to do is to put my hand on my heart, and I see that you keep doing that, and it's like it's almost like an anchor, or some kind of an experience that reminds me of I am. It reminds me
Yeah,
of the experience of presence, and I feel it
yeah,
when I do it. It sort of
yeah,
anchors it.
yeah.
Yeah, and
It is.
also,
It is as if, yeah. Here it is. You know, it's here.
yeah,
Take
right here.
attention.
Yes,
I am.
yes,
Yeah.
I am. And also, one of the things I learned when I was living with Muji at the ashram in Portugal is one of the things that we commonly do, and it has a real experience, and I do it with you right here. When I say I love you, or it's like we're
Yeah.
transmitting some kind of a communication, even as the gesture. Yes.
Yeah. It comes naturally, more and more naturally,
Yes.
when this recognition deepens. I have, like, for instance, my ex-husband with his even if he has a new girlfriend or whatever, I love you. I do.
Yes.
I mean, it's natural,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now the enemies.
Yes.
But also, but it no, it happens naturally. It's more. It opens more and more and more.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is such a beautiful path, and but we have about 5 minutes left, and I'm just going to mention on page 83 in this chapter. It's just as you were saying a few minutes ago. Rupert says in the second paragraph, he says, in almost all cases, he's talking about awareness. In almost all cases, the mind does not dissolve in its source
Right.
immediately.
Yeah.
He says it doesn't happen immediately. I think it's important to mention this because some people think, well, wait a minute, I keep slipping back, and the mind seems to. I give my attention, just as you just said. When you give your attention to the
Yeah.
mind, that's what you become.
Good.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
Rupert says
And,
that it
yeah.
is a gradual process in which the mind directs itself towards the knowing with which it knows its knowledge and experience. And in doing so, it sinks more and more deeply into the experience of simply being aware of awareness itself.
Yeah.
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 Just as you just described.
Don't be disencouraged or whatsoever. It's very normal. That it feels like an effort to remember what you are, but that is because being a mind took a lot of effort, and now it's the other way around. And then it seems like an effort to over and over remind yourself and remember. Oh, I am aware that I'm aware. Oh, I am aware that I'm aware, and that. I'm not saying that it just took years, but it is direct. As soon as you remember, I'm aware that I'm aware, you know it. That does not take time. That's an immediate and direct knowing. But the remembrance and the deepening and the widening, that just goes on until I die. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful expression of your clarity, what you're describing today, Anneke. I have so appreciated this dialogue with you, and I'm going to ask you to just give any closing comments. We have about 2 minutes left. And how would you want to leave this? What would you suggest to the viewers, the ones that are going to watch the replays, in their own awakening experience? What is the most powerful experience, or what is the one thing that you would want to leave people with to have a closer understanding and experience of awareness?
Well, I want to say this is available for everybody, because everybody is this I that we are. When you say I and I say I and everybody says I and I am, that's the very, very same I am. We are all that I. There's just one I am. And that's the shared being. That's our shared being. And when you ask yourself, am I aware? Yes, I am aware. So I'm aware that I'm aware. Yes, you are aware that you are aware, and that's who you really are. That's where you're looking from. That's your home. That is ever present, and it's available to you right now. Yes.
Well, thank you for being our guest today on Pure Presence Live, the study of the nature of consciousness, Rupert Spira, and this chapter this week, the essence of meditation. And Anneke, I just so love your expression and your love for this awareness, your love for the understanding that all of us have access to this portal, to this doorway into the experience of what we truly are. And thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Yes. Namaste. Bye, everyone. We love you. And we'll see you on January the 3rd, right here on the same station with Jenny Beal. And Henrik, I will be uploading the audio so that you can download them. And I'll be making the videos also available so that you can go right to YouTube and you can watch them on your smartphone. Until we see each other again, I would say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Merry.
And I love you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.